Please tell me Mr. Ramos is not replacing me as Dr. Doom via Parker Robbins. Is there something you're not telling me?
Robert Downey Jr. was supposed to pop into a routine Zoom, toss a little Stark sparkle toward Marvel's newest prodigy, and log off. What happened instead felt like watching an arc reactor implode in real time.
Anyway, I don't want to step on your...
Cameras were rolling for the public junket of Ironheart when Downey leaned forward and half-joked. Please tell me Mr. Ramos isn't replacing me as Dr. Doom via Parker Robbins. Something you're not telling me. On the surface, everyone laughed, but the left corner of his mouth never lifted. Half a minute later, his feed glitched. That wasn't Wi-Fi. That was fuse wire. Marvel's brass yanked him into a private call. Bob Iger's boardroom, calm. Kevin Feige's baseball cap earnestness, one studio lawyer waving clause, 17B, the mandatory PR cooperation clause. Downey sat in a faded Ramones tee, jaw tightening by the second. Feige opened with Rob. Audiences love you. A quick statement on representation would help. Downey shot back. Quick statements cost long reputations. Iger tried to soften it. This is partnership, not pressure. Downey, partnership doesn't come with a script. When a prepared speech about sexism and misogyny appeared on screen, he read 3 lines, exhaled like a boiler vent, and dropped 7 words, now etched inside Disney's crisis manual. I won't play this effing role. 9 minutes and 42 seconds after joining, he clicked out. Donation complete. Emails ricochet through Burbank. Marketing freezes every scheduled Ironheart promo. A junior VP whispers. Scrub Downey hashtags until further notice. Slack channels flood with skull emoji. Finance slashes the projected Disney Plus retention spike, tied to Downey's cameo by 37%. $90 million evaporates before lunch. Meanwhile, Reddit smells blood. Rougher Marvel Studios leaks the phrase, Clause 17B, and X turns it into a meme blender. Tony snapping his fingers, but instead of Thanos dust, corporate press releases dissolve. TikTok stitches resurface Downey at Comic-Con 2014, shouting, is it better to be feared or respected? I say, why not both? Overlaid with feared manipulated. Disney's favorite damage control move, label critics toxic. Roll out beloved star to shame them, now lacks the star. The wizard stepped from behind the curtain and set the curtain on fire. By mid-afternoon, an internal slide deck titled Project Aurora RDJ Realignment outlines 5 options. Placate. Delete Clause 17B. Issue a mutual creative pivot statement. Replace, slot another A-lister, Adam Driver, Pedro Pascal, as multiversal Doom. Delay, shove Avengers Doomsday to 2028. Blame VFX crunch. Demonize, leak a difficult talent narrative. Too risky. The public loves redemption arcs. Buy silence. Executive producer credit. Plus a large charity check if Downey reads the script. Legal warns the smear option invites subpoena-grade retaliation. Finance warns a delay tanks quarterly guidance. Everyone stares at Placate like kids staring at broccoli. That evening in Malibu, Downey meets his agent and 2 old friends. Witnesses say he looks relieved, not rattled. He orders sparkling water, not whiskey, says, I buried Tony right. They want me to dig him up and parade the corpse for metrics. Not happening. Someone asks about Fallout, he replies, authenticity ages better than box office, and doodles an arc reactor, turning into a padlock, legacy outweighing leverage. Next morning, DS stock opens 3% down, CNBC flashes a chyron, Iron Man walks, MCU future in doubt. Analysts debate superhero fatigue, while retail investors tweet gifs of Stark ejecting from a crashing suit. Sentiment, it turns out, is storytelling. Commentators start connecting dots. In 2017, The Last Jedi critics were labeled misogynists. In 2022, Kenobi backlash triggered Ewan McGregor's lecture about racism. In 2023, Lightyear flopped and XX blamed homophobia. Now Marvel tries the same shield tactic with Downey, and he refuses to lift it. Fans realize the toxicity narrative might be less grassroots hatred, more corporate firewall. Numbers roll in. Ironheart completion rate, 32%, according to a leaked doc. Predicted opening for Doomsday without Downey, down 400 million globally. Downey's goodwill score 1.8 million new Instagram followers in 48 hours. Disney's reputation among core MCU loyalists drops to its lowest since the 2015 Fantastic Four fiasco. Feige drafts a personal email. Let's meet. No lawyers. He saves it. Doesn't send. Downey's rep receives nothing, interprets silence as stalemate. Entertainment trades prep obituaries for the Infinity Saga era. Inside Marvel, one truth crystallizes. Without Robert's blessing, Phase 5 has no pulse. And for the first time since 2008, Disney realizes you can't simply buy a heart. Inside Stage A, at Manhattan Beach Studios, the prop team is quietly repainting a 7-foot throne, labeled Victor Von Doom. Nobody knows whether anyone will ever sit in it. The set decorator mutters, "Feels like decorating a wedding after the bride eloped." 2 sound stages over. Writers of Avengers Doomsday hold what used to be a notes session, now a group therapy circle. Draft 6 leaned on Downey's Doom monologue to tie 10 subplots together. Without him, the climax is a blank page with injured iconic moments circled 3 times. Word spreads that Disney has floated a one-time, no-strings $50 million bonus if Downey reads a 2-sentence statement praising Ironheart's courageous storytelling. His agent forwards the offer. Robert replies with a single gif of Tony tossing the nuke through the portal. Sacrifice beats compromise. The agent screenshots it, and by lunchtime half of Hollywood has seen it. That silent refusal travels faster than any press release. Burbank digs in. A PR brainstorm starts with reframe the narrative, and ends with introduce Secret Wars sooner. Fans love cameos. Someone proposes resurrecting Tony via AI de-aging tech. Legal coughs, likeness rights, still belong to Downey. Another exec asks if they can claim fair use under parody. The room goes silent. They pivot to contingency, elevate RE further, double down on message. Marketing drafts a new slogan, "The future is her." But focus group parents read it as admission that the past is dead. Survey approval scores drop another 10 points. Meanwhile, rival studios sniff opportunity. Warner invites Downey to a hush-hush brunch. Sources say they pitched him on producing an Elseworlds detective noir. Amazon dangles a limited series adaptation of Sherlock Holmes under his own production shingle. Downey listens politely, says he's taking a sabbatical to rebuild his Malibu chicken coop. Hollywood translation: not buying, but lovely to be courted. Fans organize Thank You Tony Tuesday. TikTokers recreate the Endgame portal scene in backyards, except the portal shuts before Iron Man enters, leaving everyone looking around confused. It goes viral. 50 million views. A neon arrow pointing at Marvel's absence of a plan. In response, Disney attempts a feel-good montage featuring Dominique Thorne and school robotics clubs. Comments section: 90% hearts, 10% still asking why PR stunts replace story stakes. The ratio is brutal. Brand sentiment charts look like a roller coaster that never climbs back up. Inside the Walt Disney Archive building, a historian is tasked with curating footage for a centennial gala. She discovers Downey's 2006 screen test, pre-muscles, pre-suit, pure nervous hope. She watches it twice, then whispers to a colleague, "How did we go from this to contract clauses?" Across the lot, Kevin Feige revisits Iron Man's press junket binder. It contains a yellow post-it from Downey. "Let's keep this fun." Feige closes the binder. Realization dawning that the simple mantra is now corporate archaeology. Other actors notice the tremor. Brie Larson's team requests clarity on her own Clause 17B obligations for forthcoming reshoots. Disney's Anthony Mackie texts Downey a fist bump emoji. No words needed. Scarlett Johansson, who once sued the mouse and won, tweets a cryptic, "Told you contracts matter." Interns scour SAG policy. Can stars collectively refuse mandated PR speak? No precedent. But the union's new leadership smells leverage. Investor call day arrives. Analysts press Feige. How critical is Mr. Downey to Phase 5 revenue? Feige recites a line about ensemble storytelling. One analyst retorts, "The market says otherwise," citing a $12 billion evaporation since the incident. CNBC zooms in on a red graph that looks suspiciously like an EKG flatline. Feige drafts another email. Finally sends Robert, lunch. No agenda. Downey replies with a YouTube link. AC/DC's Shoot to Thrill. Translation interpreted as, "If we meet, come honest, bring rhythm, lose the script." Feige books a private booth at Nadanal's, orders 2 turkey on rye ahead of time and waits. At 1, Downey walks in, wearing sunglasses and a paint-spattered hoodie. They hug like cousins who skipped a few Christmases. Conversation lasts 90 minutes. No lawyers, no publicists. One waitress sworn to secrecy. Eyewitnesses overhear fragments. Earned moments. Checklist cinema. Legacy is oxygen. When they part, Feige looks lighter. Downey amused. But no signatures change hands. Back at HQ, Feige reports, Downey might cameo if Ironheart earns it organically. If Clause 17b dies. If writers craft an arc the audience asks for instead of one the board demands. Some suits balk, precedent, disaster, but others grasp the bigger disaster underway. Losing the center may cost more than conceding control. Disney issues a terse release. We value Robert's contributions and are engaged in creative conversations. The stock nudges upward, but fans aren't fooled. They quote Stark's last line, "I am inevitable." Except this time inevitability swings the other way. The studio must adapt or fade. In the quiet that follows, editors cut a new version of Ironheart Episode 1, less lecture, more character flaw, a genuine mentor void instead of a rushed homage. They test screen it for a small group that includes teenage boys and middle-aged women, the forgotten quadrant. Scores improve modestly. A writer whispers, "Maybe we can save this by telling the truth instead of selling a thesis." Downey watches an early cut at home, headphones on. When Riri finishes her first flight and crashes into a lake, she laughs at herself instead of striking a pose. Downey smiles. He texts Feige one word, "Closer." The throne still sits empty, but props no longer repaint it. They polish it, just in case. And somewhere in Malibu a chicken coop is nearly finished. Downey nails a plaque above the door, "Build it right or leave it alone." Mid-February. The Malibu sunrise stains the Pacific orange, while Downey finishes hammering the last shingle onto the coop. A hired hand asks why an Oscar winner is roofing his own chicken house. Robert shrugs, "Because nobody sent notes." The answer hits harder than he intends. Across town, the Marvel writers' room finally drops the color-coded diversity tracker spreadsheet and starts pinning comic panels to corkboard again. They strip Riri's rewrite to the chassis. Genius kid, grief over a lost mentor. Reckless first victory, public failure, earned comeback. It's so simple. Someone jokes they could have found it by opening a 2016 issue of Invincible Iron Man instead of a PowerPoint. Laughter, nervous but real, fills the room for the first time in months. Kevin Feige phones Downey to pitch the new outline. No prepared talking points, just a story. Riri builds a suit that nearly kills her because she measures herself against a ghost. She survives by learning Tony's real legacy isn't tech, it's accountability. In the finale, a pre-recorded Stark AI activates for 12 seconds, telling her, "Kid, the suit is just a mirror. Make sure you like who's inside." Downey listens. He asks two questions. Does she fail big? Yes. Does she fix it herself? Also yes. He says, "Then you don't need me, that's the point." Feige exhales. "Would you voice the AI anyway?" Downey, "One condition, strike the clause that lets you weaponize me and press again." Feige agrees on the call, surprising them both. But legal isn't art. The next morning a memo from corporate communications reinserts a softened brand alignment obligation. Downey reads it, laughs once, forwards it to Feige with subject line, "Read accountability." Feige storms a V-level meeting, slams the memo on polished wood, and for the first time in 15 years raises his voice at Bob Iger. "You brought me back to fix Marvel, so let me fix it. Or fire me." Iger stares at him, quietly calculates PR fallout of losing the architect and the poster boy in the same quarter. He signs off on removing the clause. News leaks within hours, not the contract terms, just the vibe. Disney blinked. Reddit threads celebrate a rare studio. Variety runs a think piece titled, "Did Iron Man just save storytelling?" Executives hate the headline, but notice their own kids sharing it on Instagram. Late March test screening of the new Ironheart pilot. Audience scores jump 20 points. Viewers still critique CGI, but they talk about characters, not quotas. In the parking lot, a 12-year-old cosplaying Riri tells her dad, "She messed up bad, but then she fixed it. That's what heroes do, right?" The studio researcher records the quote, verbatim, and emails it upstairs with the subject, "This is the marketing tag." Downey gets the cut on a secure link. He watches alone. No entourage, just a note. 43 minutes later, he types one sentence to Feige. "If you still want the AI voice, I'm in. No cameo fee. Donate it to Starlight Foundation." Feige replies, with a grateful emoji he never thought he'd send in his 50s. At CinemaCon, Disney unveils a sizzle reel. No lectures, no hashtags. It ends on a silhouetted helmet. Stark's faceplate flips open, but instead of Tony the inside is empty, reflecting the audience. Tagline fades in. "The future wears what you build." Applause is hesitant at first, then earnest. Reporters rush Feige. He refuses to blame fans or mention politics. He just says, "We took feedback. We told a story." That quote trends higher than any trailer. Wall Street notices the stock ticking upward. One analyst writes, "Perhaps authenticity still has a market cap." Inside the archive building, that historian swaps the Centennial montage's final shot. Downey's 2006 screen test dissolves into Riri's lake crash laughter. Two beginnings sharing one frame. The throne remains on stage A. Not for Dr. Doom anymore. Maybe not for anyone, but the crew keeps it polished. A reminder that power is borrowed, never owned. Downey visits, sets a bag of organic chicken feed on the seat, and grins at the prop guys. Just in case the next monarch deserves a snack. Leaving the lot, he passes a billboard for Ironheart. No image of him, no forced endorsement, just Riri. Mid-flight, sparks flying. Headline, "Fail big, fix bigger." He nods once, climbs into his Audi, and drives home to Malibu, where the coupe awaits its first sunrise with a brass plaque shining in the dawn. Build it right or leave it alone.